Good morning, everyone. I hope I was pressing the go live button and it kicked me out. And I'm like, what? No. And then I couldn't get signed in. And then, those verification things that pop up and it says, tap the squares with the bicycle. And I'm like, there are no more bicycles. Anyway, we got here. So hopefully everything is going to be working smoothly. Welcome. It is Thursday, the 30th of January. And we are going to do a little bit of card making at the surprise. We are going to play with the mixed floral stamp set, which is what I have been playing with for the last 2 days. I've been creating cards for my Stamp by Mail and I am just loving it. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to keep continuing. I'm going to play a little bit longer. So hopefully everyone can find me where I was, hopefully, because I was a few minutes late. So apologies for that. So let's get this camera switched around and we'll get straight into it. Okay, so again, this is the stamp set, Mixed Florals. This is actually part of the online exclusives range. So if you haven't checked out the online exclusives range, that is, you can only find it on the online store. It's not in any print. Go and check them out because there's lots of goodies in there. And the paper, which is also called, this one's called Mixed Media Florals. But this one, I'm not overly fond of some of the busy types. I would use them sparingly, but I do love the greens and the blues and of course the stripes. And there's some black and white. Like I find that a little bit too busy for me, but the black and white is also very pretty. And there's some more down the back here that I haven't used. That is gorgeous. I think that would color up beautifully. Hello, Sarah. Welcome. So lots of different, and there's one more back here. There we go. Now I found it. Black and white, and that again is a little bit busy for me. I would, if I was going to use these big pieces, I perhaps wouldn't use the stamped image. I'd just use the designer series paper and let it speak for itself. But I'm going to use a bit of the blue one today because it's so beautiful. Okay, let's get into it. I hate it when things go not my way in the morning because it always leaves me a little bit frazzled, but we'll get there. So I have played with this set before Christmas and we created this card here. So I'm going to do the other one, the Black Eyed Susan one this time. So we're going to color in that one. Okay, so I've got my image already stamped and it is in Memento ink because we're going to be using our Stampin' Blends. So stamping in Memento and that way our opposites attract. Memento is water-based, so our alcohol markers will not bleed. So, okay, so if you happen to be on YouTube and you're on a mobile device, you can actually zoom in. You can pinch your screen and zoom in a little bit if you want to see the coloring. I will bring things up to the screen, but that's just unfortunately one of the, let me get my light and darks around the right way. Dark. And I'm going to use the bullet tip because we're only working with very small areas. So unfortunately I can't zoom in. So at least if you're on YouTube, you can zoom in a little bit. Good morning, Sherry. How are you going? All right, so just this one's really simple. I'm just going to do the under the side and near the stem with the dark. I've got to concentrate so I don't go out the lines. And then coming in with my light and again just bullet tip because these are only small portions. The other image has got long grass in it and I tend to use the brush tip for that one. And there's not a huge amount of difference between the light and dark marker in these guys. So you could probably almost get away with colouring in just with the one colour. But I am going to show you a little something with the stems because I do want them slightly darker. Okay, so I'm going to grab my boho blue. And I'm going to put down a layer of boho blue first. Good morning, Crafting My World. Your first name is, but hello, how are you from Melbourne? So I've got my dark boho blue here and I've got a lot of hair in my face. I thought I'll just let it dry on its own today. And of course, when I do that, it always feels like I've got so much hair. All right. So I'm just concentrating here because it is fine Don't want to go out the lines. So I'll bring this up to the screen so you can see. So I have put down a layer of boho blue, dark boho blue, and then I'm going to grab my dark shy shamrock, and I'm just going to go straight over the top and colour that all in. And that's going to give me a slightly darker green, but it's not going to show any blue through. It'll just give me a light, you know, just that slight edge to the stem. And because it is blue, when I use the blue in my flowers, all the colours will still be nice and matchy-matchy. So I'm going to bring that back up. Ah, Jocelyn, hello. So I'll bring that back up, and hopefully you can see that that stem is actually a little bit darker than the leaves. Okay, so, and because it's got that undertone, when we use our boho blue, then I'm just working out my right ones. My light, I'm going to start with my light this time, and I'm just going to colour these little, whatever flowers these are. They almost look like a baby's breath to me, which are definitely not blue, they're white, but anyway. We're going to colour them blue because blue is in the paper and that's what we want. I've got to remember to go back and get those two little ones down the bottom there. And I'm just going around in little circles. I'm not actually like colouring up and down. I'm just going in little squiggles. There's some little bits of white down here. And then I'm going to come in with my dark and just sort of squiggle in the center of each one. These ones are super quick and easy. I might have to try the old no line on these ones as well, I think. Okay, so next is my Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to do the flowers with these. So I'm going to use my brush tip for these. Good morning, Marilyn. Now I have on this one, I have changed the nib. So if you're looking to change the nibs, you can actually do that. And I do have a video on how you can do that and change the nibs. So what I'm going to do is just starting from the center of that, where that flower is, and I will hold this up to the screen so you can see. I'm just sort of dragging the marker down in between each petal. So I'll bring that up. So that's all I've done. And I'm going to do that for the smaller one as well. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my light, and I have a feeling that this one is starting to get a little bit on the dry side. I'm using my bullet tip for this one because I'm just filling in those white spaces. I'm not actually going to go over the top of the dark. Okay, and the bottom one. Okay, I'll bring that up to show you what that looks like. So what I'm going to do now is go back to my dark, and I'm just going to go over the top where I have already been with my dark marker, and that's just going to enhance those areas a little bit more. You can actually go over this area a couple of times to deepen it up, because you can layer your colors beautifully, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, just because I want those bits quite dark. And I'm not going to put any more light on there. We're just adding, because they blend with each other. Now I'm going to need them again soon. So I've just gone and I've added a couple of layers. Like I said, if you want to keep going, you can add more on that as well. Okay, so now we're going to go with our bullet tip, and we're going to do a little bit of pointillism. So with my marker directly up and down, I'm just going to start with the light, and I'm on the left hand side, and I'm just doing tiny little dots just on the left hand side. Okay, and then we will move to the dark, and I'm going to go over the top a little bit, but then more into the middle, and I'll bring this up to the screen. So we've got that look going on at the moment. Hi Carol, how you going from Canada? Are you having nice cold weather? Right, so now I'm going to grab my, oops, wrong end. This is Calypso Coral. And I'm just extending on a little bit. So now we're working towards the right-hand side. I have to say my husband is home at the moment, so if you can hear him, he's outside at the moment. And I think the postie's just turned up on his little electric. So no doubt he will pop in here in a second. And I go, what are you doing? And I'll go, I'm doing it live. All right. So I've got that going on at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is grab back to my yellow, and I'm going to go over the Calypso Coral just to tone it down a little bit. And again, so you can't see the little dots because I've filled in all the white spaces, but well, you can see the dots, but you want them enough that there are no white spaces. So you want them fairly close together and pretty randomly as well. And snow, brr, yucky. Actually, it would be pretty to see. So there we go. I've seen snow down in Tasmania, a little bit, tiny little bit of snow in Tasmania, and then when we went to Switzerland, oh, what was that? Was that 2 years ago now? Of course, there was a fair bit of snow up there, but that was really thick snow on the caps and stuff. So, but that was brr. Okay. I'm just going to see whether I can. I don't want to have to get my big machine out, so I'm pretty sure that I can die cut this with the little machine. See, so that doesn't take that didn't take very long to color in at all. What, probably what is it, 15, quarter past 10 now, and I came in a little bit late because I had issues, and then I yacked for a little while. So what's that, probably 6 or 7 minutes worth of colouring? Not long at all. I did pre-stamp though. So okay, now I've got a big pile of stamps, sets and dies on my side here because I'm going to be using a few more stamp sets because this one doesn't actually have a sentiment with it. So there we go. Okay, so this one, the dies will cut out the two big images. It'll cut out the leaves here, and then you've got, I don't think there's one that cuts this one out though, unless I'm being blind at the moment. And then there's the butterfly, the ladybirds to cut out, and there's 2 each of them, so you get plenty of them. All right, let's carefully lift that off because I have torn my thing on that. Look, that perfect. The other one you definitely have to cut out on the big machine, but this one and the other ones you can cut out on your little machine. So let's get that lined up nicely. Yeah, when we were in Switzerland, we actually went, it was springtime there, but there was still snow everywhere. And we'd gone to one place we could supposedly walk this trail and go and see a lake, but everything was still covered in snow, and it was a whiteout up there as well. And we thought, oh, well, we'll go and see what we can see anyway. It was hard going, and it was hot. Like, I ended up stripping off down to my tank top. It was hot up there, which is surprising. And of course, and then the cloud cover came over and we all froze again. I love this stamp set. I have to say, I am really, really enjoying playing with this one. Okay, so because that's the one that we did a couple of weeks back, or actually it was well before Christmas, so it's a little while back now. You probably can't see this, but this is my mud map of where I want things to go. So I am following that along. It's going to have some fairly decent layers in it, which I don't know about you guys, but I tend to find some images tend to want to lend themselves to lots of layers, and this one is one that I feel does really nicely with layers. Even though they're big images, I feel like adding lots of things to them. So anyway, so when I'm card making, start with my base, and then I usually start working my elements in. So I've got my excuse me, my flowers, and then I like to, because it doesn't cut out all the background, I have been enjoying actually layering it on a piece of white so that it doesn't look like with this one here, it didn't look like weird when you've got big patches of white in between. So putting it against white sort of hid all of that. So, but you can go and watch that video if you want to. Oh, and before I go any further, I'm just going to say, if you want the instructions for the card that we're making today, alisatilsner.com, which is showing on the screen at the moment, you can head there and you'll find the subscribe button. And if you hit subscribe to that, then this card I will be writing up as a tutorial with all the measurements on there so that you can recreate yourself. Isn't that just gorgeous? Like, I love that paper behind there at the moment. Okay, and then I've got two other layers. So I was thinking, and then this is actually how I do my thing. I don't cut anything yet because I'm not 100% sure of, am I going to do it this way or am I going to do it that way? So I don't cut anything until I've sort of got a rough idea in my head of how I want to do things. So I was thinking about putting a layer of yellow on this side, and then perhaps a layer of green on this side, not the whole way, you know, it'll be blocked as well over here. So it'll be like that. And then I've got some blue, and I was going to make a little tab over on this side because I love little tabs and stuff for layering. And then I'm actually thinking about, I've got a little frame here, but I'm going to die cut that from some squares, and I was going to have that over on this side here. Okay, so let's get that cut out first. And I like to keep things on my card because I may have to trim that white down. We'll see how we go. Okay, so I've got stylish shapes here, and I'm hoping that this will go through. I'm just going to pick out a square that's not going to be too big, which I think will be that one. So that is the second largest, and then the third one, and we're going to nest them together and die cut them. Oh. So who else loves lots of layering? I mean, I think you could, if you wanted to go simple, you could even, you know, go really simple and just like, I'd put it on this side. You could just go like that and your sentiment, and boom, you could be done, because that designer series paper is just beautiful. It sort of reminds me of clouds, even though it's not, but it just reminds me of, you know, looking up at the sky and having the clouds, fast moving clouds drifting away. All right, let's get that lined up. And we'll die cut this little frame. Oh. Okay, pop them away. And all right, so now I've got a square I can use at another time. So get rid of that, keep that. So, and that's where I was, and I'll be able to cut that in half and just use half of it. Oh, what is he doing? He's making noise out there. So we've got a nice little frame going on there. I do not know what that is. It's noisy. I'm just thinking, because I've got dots in here, I'm thinking that maybe I might actually cut that other little panel from this, just so that I've got dots on this side as well. Hey Heather, who's tuning in from New Zealand. A nice sunny day, but not as hot as what we've just experienced. Oh, I know, it was terrible. We're supposed to be having a little bit of a heat wave coming up too. Not into the 40s, I don't think, but definitely 5 days in the high 30s coming up. But that's right, I was telling you last week that my husband was going to the APY lands where it was like 42 every day. And so he finished his work, and then on the final day he had to start work at, I think he went in at 7:30, and then he drove home. I have to be quiet just in case he can hear me outside. He drove home from the APY lands all the way to Port Lincoln and got home at 1:30 in the morning. 16-hour drive, and he just did it. Yes. Okay, now we start our measuring. It's looking good, Fontella. Thank you very much. Okay, and I need to cut these down because obviously I don't want all of it. I just want part of it. So let's cut that down, and don't throw that away. You can use that on another card with the same idea. All right, so we're going to pop that. I think I'll pop it more towards the top because then we'll have this guy, and it's going to go behind a different layer. It's not actually going to go on that layer, but it sort of starts to build now. Okay, so now we have to start doing our measurements, which is why if you're not on my newsletter list, you'll want to get on there so that you can get these, because a lot of the time I don't actually know what they are. I just look, and sometimes I have to change them, which I'll probably have to do for this one. Okay, so this one's going to come down a little bit from there, and then we want some green, some shy shamrock. All right, and I'm going to keep them, I think I'm going to keep them the same width. And I think they're the same height already. Nope, this one. Okay, and then this one I'm going to tuck behind there and a little bit lower again, and then this one here is going to slip in behind that. So it's all going to be centered towards, well, not centered, but you know what I mean, more towards one area than the other. So we've got a few little layers going on like that. Like I said, I really love that blue, so I want to keep a lot of that designer series paper, but the rest of it I can do fairly tight layering, so I think I'm good with that. So I don't know, didn't turn out to be as many layers as what I thought. Okay, now I did bring out another stamp set that is from the online exclusives, and the designer series paper is the mixed media florals. So mixed media florals that go with the mixed media stamp set. Okay, so and they are on the online exclusive section, but you could use anything that's got texture. Okay, elements of text, which I love and I haven't used yet. So I was actually thinking about stamping this white panel with a little bit of text in the background and doing that in the Daffodil Delight. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm wondering whether I should actually stamp, and you can have input for this. Let me bring it up to the screen. I was going to stamp on the background here of this white panel, and I was going to do it in Daffodil Delight, but I'm wondering whether I should just do little bits of it on the blue in the corners, perhaps with boho blue. So now's your chance to get in there, and we've got some splatter going on as well. Oh, you know what? Maybe I could do some text on the blue and some splatter on the white. Maybe that's what I can do. That sounds like, I think I've just answered my own question. Don't you love it when you talk to yourself and, you know, ideas form in your head? And I'm going to use this one here. This one here. It's got a bit of splatter on it and a bit of, you know, I can't even possibly, I think it's got spring I can see on there. Who knows, it's that small. You'd probably need a a magnifying glass to see what it is. Okay, so let me get behind myself and grab my boho blue. So apologies for the noise in the background. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I don't know how dark this is going to be, I'm actually going to stamp it off on my glass mat, and then I'm just going to stamp a little bit, and I think I've got it upside down. That's okay, we'll just turn our page around. Okay, so again, stamping off on our mat, but I can tell that that was upside down, so whoops, now I've got hair on my page. So let's just do something like that. It's been a long time since I've had text stamps that we can do this with. All right, so now we'll slide, if we can, we will slide this back underneath everything, and it just adds a tiny little bit of something. We'll bring that up, just a tiny little bit in the background. And then I will switch over to Daffodil Delight. Oh, I can find it. Okay. And grab a different, which one do I like? They're both pretty good. I think I'll go for this longer one. And again, I just want it nice and subtle, so I will probably stamp. Ooh, got my chamois on my cardstock. It's no good. I'll end up with wrinkled cardstock. Okay, so this one's just, I don't know whether you can see that, it's just splatters. Okay, let's grab this one. And again, oh, this ink pad, it's one of my original ones from almost 19 years ago. Again, I'm just going to stamp off, and I just sort of think I want it just around the bottom area. I think. Just a tiny little bit. Let's pop that on there, and look, you can't even see it. So let's just go the whole hog, and we'll try and focus on the edges. Just a little bit, bring that back in. All right, a little bit in the corner. There we go. Just tiny, tiny little bits of splatter there in the background. Okay, let's clean up again. And I need a sentiment, and then I do believe we are ready to assemble. Oops, losing it, I can tell. It's going to be one that's going to lose its stick because I'm going to use it lots. All right, so I am going, because I've got my accents on the card, the little die cut pieces in boho blue, I'm going to stick to boho blue for my sentiment as well, and I'm going to do it on boho blue. Okay, so another stamp set that I'm going to bring out is the beautiful butterflies, because it's got time to celebrate, which is really lovely. Happy birthday, and it's sitting on my desk, and that's what I'm going to use, which you guys probably do as well. If it's there, that's what we're going to use. And I think that I might do, this is a clear one, so what I sometimes like to do is just to try and put everything in its place roughly, and then see, like I just line up my stamp over the top of my card just to see how much room it's actually going to take away, but I'm quite happy with that. So let's get this embossed, and I think I've got just enough width in this. So Versamark ink pad. If you're new to stamping and you haven't embossed before, or this is definitely something that you need to get onto, I think I emboss nearly all my sentiments. So it's a sticky ink pad, and we stamp in that. It's clear, it's sticky, and then you sprinkle on white powder, and then you get the heat tool onto it, and it sets into a beautiful glossy finish. And I am old school. I just use paper to funnel. We do have a little tool that you can use which has a little funnel in it, and you can funnel it back into your pot, but I'm still using paper. It's out of my way, just sits constantly on my desk under my other little trimmer. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm like I said, I am just absolutely loving this stamp set, and the colors in it are gorgeous too. I haven't even gone outside of these colors yet. I'm going to have to experiment with different colors as well. Okay, now I am going to fussy cut this, so excuse me for a moment while I do that. Hopefully it won't take too long. So, and I'm not good at cutting straight. I can cut around curves and stuff, but I cannot cut straight. So these ones here normally give me a little bit of grief. Like even just that little bit there it's not even straight. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, I'm going to try and leave a little bit of a space between this one. Like sometimes I get really close to the words, and other times I actually manage to stay the distance. So I'm trying to put a little bit of distance between it. I think because the when you get quite scripty, if you cut too close to the embossing, you lose what the word is. So I try and give it a little bit of space. I'm not doing very well at the top. Right, and I'm not going all the way in. I'm just going to do a gentle dip and then out again. And then here comes my danger straight cutting. Oh gosh. So you can go all the way down if you wanted to, but I like to sort of keep that a little bit bold up there again, so you can actually read what the text says. Okay, I think we are ready to be assembling. Excellent. Okay, this should come together pretty quickly, I'd say. Looks like a little bit of a fairy edge going on there. Give that a pressing. Oh, and another tip. I learned this one from one of my team members. Because this has been cut, it's sort of, you know how you feel like it's got that edge around it? You can feel that cut edge. If you just run that with your bone folder, and even cut lines on when you do cutting on your trimmer, if you just give it a little bit of a flatten with your bone folder, that little feel disappears. Okay, where to start? I'm going to put these guys on first, just so that when, oops, I've done it, oh, typical, did it the wrong way. The good thing about that seal is, like, I've just done it on the wrong side, so I can actually lift that seal up. If you just roll that with your thumb, you can actually lift that adhesive up. Look, now there's no adhesive on that side. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Other side. And we're just going to pop this little banner here so that it doesn't really look like a banner anymore. And we're just going to pop that behind. So I used that because because the other side, the frame has got dots on it. So I sort of wanted to keep it a little bit consistent. Okay, let's get this down. And hopefully I've got enough tape on my tape runner. Oops, don't put that on upside down. Wait a minute, which way does it go? You can actually read a tiny bit of the script and you can see what it says. So you do have to be mindful of up and down on them. Okay, let's get that lined up. Okay, next. Oh, no, next is the green. So we want to pop the green down, but we want to pop this behind it as well. So we're going to work on the green panel next. So I will just pop a little bit of adhesive in those areas, and then, oh no, you know what, I've done boo-boos again. I wanted that to be up the top because that is down the bottom. I wanted this one up the top, and the sentiment is going to be down the bottom. All right, so we want to leave a little bit of a gap between so that we can see that designer series paper peeking through that frame. Okay, and then I'm going to have to be careful because I'm leaving all that sticky on. And then we want this positioned probably closer towards the bottom area. All right. Bring these pieces in again. I'll always like to do this just to make sure that I've got things lined up where they're supposed to be and nice and straight. All right, so we've got a fair bit of green going on there. Right. And so you see, as I'm creating, everything was pushed towards that side. Now I'm moving towards this side. It just happens. You have all well good intentions of doing things, you know, the way you thought you were going to do them, and then they turn out to be completely different. So I'm going to have more green showing, which is not really what I had intended, but that's okay. All right, and then we can stick this piece down. We'll pop that. We'll try and roughly center that. Okay, now we can bring out some dimensionals, and we are almost there. I've got to start thinking about some bling next. Oops, what am I doing? Oh, lost it. Do we have any boho blue bling? I can't remember. I do have some gold dots. Oh, do you know what? Maybe I'll use we've got little pink dots that are in this one here, which might go nicely because I've popped that little bit of Calypso coral into the centers of the flowers. Oops, that one's already off. So that may work in nicely as well. What do you think? Or should I just go for something like rhinestones? So let's pop this over the top. Okay, and finally our sentiment. So we want dimensionals on one side and then just adhesive on the other so that it lies flat across there. Little pink ones might be quite cute actually. Okay, so we'll pop this down. I don't want it to interfere with my frame because I really like my frame, so we'll pop it down a little bit towards the bottom. And so we've got that going on. Okay, and then our dimensional, our bling bling. Let's have a look. Thanks, Kathy. Now, I really like it when they're on the clear because you can actually pop them on your card and go, I reckon that pink will pick up nicely. Just that little hint of pink that's in there, I think will be right. What you could do if you wanted to tie them in even more is grab one of these little ladybirds and stamp and colour them in the Calypso coral, and then your little pinks would work perfectly. But let's use these. Put them back in here so I can actually see, and we'll just pop some of them around, just a couple. And do I want it up here, here? Just there, that'll do. they want to go really nicely. Other times they're a pain in the neck to position. Okay, so that is my card. I really quite like that. So, and here's the one that we did a couple of weeks back. So really, really, really love this stamp set. I do believe that there is a group of sentiments and a die as well. I think it's a big, massive one. I do have it, but hang on 2 seconds. I'll see whether I can actually. It was called mixed something or others. Mixed labels. Here it is. So if you were looking for a new set of sentiments to go with that one, because this little image here sort of goes along with them as well. So that one is a sentiment one that does go with it as well, and it has got a set of dies that go with it as well. But I haven't used that one yet. I'm too busy stuck on all of these ones. Heather says, such a lovely card, and now another stamp and die on my list. Sorry. Carol says, lovely card, thanks for sharing. You are welcome. It was funny because I had it sort of in my brain, and then I went, like yesterday, and then I went to sleep and I kept waking up and I kept thinking about my card. So that is bizarre. So I really like the little texture behind, and I love the little text behind there as well, just to add a little bit of interest to it. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for joining me. I am going to come back for 2 seconds. So thanks very much for joining me, and we will be back again next Thursday. And for I don't know what we'll do. We never know. I never know what I'm doing. It was just, this was on my desk, so I thought I'm going to keep playing with that for the moment. So celebration is on at the moment. So if you are spending, it's $100 in Australia. It's different in other countries, but you will get to choose from the celebration brochure. There's I do believe there's new stuff coming out. There's usually a second release coming out in February. So there's that, and of course the joining offer. So if you'd like to join Stampin' Up, I think I worked out, thanks Julie, I think I worked out, I did the math, and over the course of a year, if you're placing your minimum requirements for being a demonstrator or drawing Stampin' Up, then you were saving like just under $450 for the year on your orders. So if you are thinking about joining, if you are spending regularly, you might want to think about joining. So that's Australian dollars too, by the way. So it is a pretty good deal. Get in contact. Okay, that's it. I will see you next Thursday, and we'll come up with something again next week. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.